In today's video, we're going to talk all about the one-arm row. So I got 3 common mistakes I typically see. I'm going to tell you how to correct those 3 mistakes and have a very good bonus tip for you at the end as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But like I said, I'm not going to waste your time. This video will be for you if you want to blow up your strength, because I guarantee if you do these 3 tips, your strength is going to skyrocket. If you want better lat upper back development, and you want to do this while you're making sure you're not hurting your shoulder or even potentially your lower back. So let's jump into it right away, because I respect your time and I don't want to waste any more of your time here. So the very first mistake I typically see, and it's by far the most common one, is it's pulling way too much kind of with the elbow and the wrist, and it turns to be a lot bicep-y. So what I mean by that is, let's say right here, and in this position, you're just kind of pulling like that, almost like a straight at angle. And the problem with that is 2 things. You're gonna get the bicep involved a lot, and your strength's gonna suffer because of that. So kind of look, if I'm pulling like this, what does this position kind of mimic? It's almost like a hammer curl, right? Like, I don't know about you, if I'm trying to get stronger in a row, you probably can't hammer curl 80, 90, 100 pounds. If you can, it's pretty damn impressive. I can't myself. So we're gonna change that, because the biceps gonna be a limiting factor there, and you're probably not gonna get too much back development, and like I said, you're simply just not gonna be able to lift as much weight. So the fix for that is very simple. Instead of just going straight down, what I want you to do is pull back towards the hip just a little bit in that position. Doesn't have to be dramatic, like, you know, like a pendulum swing like that, but just a little bit where you kind of start on the shoulder, you pull back a little bit towards the hip, and you're just moving back and forth. And do you notice now in the end position here, the dumbbell is kind of lined up more over the elbow, pretty parallel, opposed to kind of being here. So maybe it's off 5-10 degrees, give or take. We don't need a ruler to measure it, or gone down your whatever it is. But basically just kind of make sure you're not too far here. You want to make sure it's more here, where it's parallel, lined over the elbow. That way we're not creating a lot more extra tension on the bicep. Do this, you'll feel it more in your back, and I guarantee your strength will skyrocket at the same time. Mistake number 2 I typically see, range of motion. So I got 2 things here. Number 1, we either go back too far, I'll explain why that's a problem, or the second thing is, ego lifting, we don't go as far up, right? I think we've all done it before, at least I have myself. So the first mistake though, this is actually a problem. You might be thinking the more range of motion, the better. It's not the case though, and I can explain why for the row. So it might kind of look like here, and you're just kind of pulling back in this position. And I typically see that a lot. And the issue with that is, if you go too far, I want you to look at my shoulder right here. If I go too far, look what's happening to my shoulder. You kind of see it tip forward a little bit in that position. Now that's something called scapular, so your shoulder blade anterior tilt. What that basically means is your shoulder blade is tipping forward in that position. And when that happens, you can actually close down space in the joint. And this is where it might irritate like a tendon, some sort of structure in there. So if you have a shoulder issue, definitely be careful doing that. If you don't have a shoulder issue, don't do that, because it potentially could cause one. So the fix for that is just go basically until the elbow's in line with the shoulder. So don't go too, just make sure the elbow's not going too far up. In line with the shoulder right here is a pretty good bang for your buck in terms of how far you should go back. Now the second one, I'm not gonna really dive into it too much. Ego lifting, again, we've all been there. It just kind of looks to me like this, where we're really not getting the full range of motion. As you know, in a row, the farther back we go, relatively speaking, when the elbow's in on the shoulder, the harder it's gonna be. This is easy, we can basically hold this all day. Harder, 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 hardest. So you wanna make sure you are getting that good full range of motion. You're not half repping it, because if you are, you're simply just missing out on the hardest portion of the movement. It's not like a squat, where you kind of come up and kind of stop a little bit, and then come back down all the way. Like, that's still fine, so you're still gonna have tension there. But in a row, again, there's really no tension in that bottom position, so you're kind of cheating if you're not going all the way up, essentially. So that's 2B or 2A. 2A is going too far, 2B is going not enough range of motion. Now the third mistake, very common, I call it starting the lawnmower. You may have like, Rich, what the hell are you talking about? It basically just kind of means we're using way too much body momentum. Before you jump on me right away, a little momentum is actually okay, and I'll kind of explain what I typically do. But the mistake I see with the start lawnmower is it just kind of looks to me like this, right? We're getting tons of rotation, and again, if you're trying to work and build your upper back, if you're just kind of using momentum in your obliques and your legs, you're just shifting emphasis off your back to those muscles, so you're just simply not gonna get the result that you want. And number two, of course, you can potentially hurt your lower back if you're getting a lot of rotation coming from the wrong places, in this case being the lower back. Now, I'm not against a little bit of momentum. I think perfect form is pretty subjective, right? Like, I don't think like you have to do rows like this every single rep. You're not moving at all. I'm actually fine. Let's say if you're doing like 8 reps, I'm actually fine if the first kind of 5 looks something like this, and the last 3 you're getting a little bit of that cheat. It just means you're pushing hard, because if you're finishing your set every single time, you know, perfectly, if quote unquote, if you're just gonna look like this every single rep, there's probably just a good chance you're not pushing hard enough, and you could probably lift a little more weight. So again, if you're doing like 8 reps, if you're like 5 of them pretty good, and the last 3 you're cheating a bit, for me personally as a coach, I'm fine with that, because it just means you challenge yourself, which is typically a good thing. So again, I'll give you the bonus tip, and then I'll recap. I've read the bonus tip for you, you're not gonna miss that. So in a row, here's the bonus tip. If you wanna work your lats more, you're gonna go more close grip. So kind of like this. So if you wanna work these guys right here, what I want you to do with the arm path is just go a little bit tighter in that position where the elbow's a little bit closer to the body. If you want more kind of upper back, rear delt, mid back area, what you basically do is just gonna turn the palm in, or turn the palm down, I should say, in that position, and you're just gonna pull a little bit wider right here, and you should feel a little more upper trap, upper back, and even some of those mid back muscles by just making that one change. So lats tighter, upper back wider, and you should be doing rows in both directions, because this way is you're gonna work the exact same as this way. Obviously there's an overlap between muscles, but that position is gonna bias certain muscles compared to the other position. I'm dying here. I gotta work my endurance in these videos. This is the no cardio is starting to catch up to me here. So the 3 mistakes as a reminder. Again, mistake number 1, you're pulling too much with that bicep. Make sure you're pulling back, and you want the dumbbell basically in line over the elbow and not too much far in front, if that makes sense. Tip number 2, make sure the range of motion is here, not here, or half repping it. And number 3, don't start the lawnmower. It's not summertime right now, so make sure you're not going back and forth right here. A little momentum is okay. Just make sure you're not overdoing it, but it is a good sign of momentum, because it means you are pushing relatively hard. And again, bonus tip, tight, more lats, wide, more upper back. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna post basically one of these a week where I break down an exercise, and the other exercise I'll post is gonna be more on like losing some belly fat, gaining strength, adding lean muscle. That's what we specialize in. And there's YouTube shorts 4 or 5 times a week, so you don't want to miss those. And thanks for watching. Hope it's helpful. If it was, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment. It always helps. And we'll be back next week.